She brought a whole cooler full of food and just camped out. Wow. In one of our, of course, and over there in surgery, like bottles, extra room. So she just picked a room and she had it all set up. Brought her blanket, her sheets, and she also don't use the sheets. I don't want to use any of it. More than that.
Yeah.
Ours are stretchers in our rooms.
Oh, well.
Hello.
Hey, you heard early this morning.
What's that supposed to mean? It's been a while. I'll be here by myself, so I'm going to let all the stuff loose this morning. By myself. She's going to be right back.
That never.
Nah.
Y'all had a good time in Vegas?
It was good. It was a strange place.
I'd like to visit, but I'm sure I would want to.
That was your first time?
Mm-hmm. Personally. I got spanked by a milk.
That's not your first last time.
Because they were out and they spanked over. And the girls got spanked by the same guy. Her girl.
Eddie, y'all going back to school?
I didn't watch Ocean's 11 on the way
Did you
there.
get grief for
Cancer.
cancer?
They
Oh,
drive
yeah.
to Bellagio.
There were problems.
That's a good idea.
Where did y'all stay?
Yeah.
Westgate.
We've been out.
Yeah. It was almost starting to feel like COVID.
Yeah. But we like
When first
day.
Sunday we missed for COVID, I was like, nah, maybe it
Big, a big room in there called the Sports Book.
turned into.
They had like wall to wall big screens, like a huge screen, and like little cuts. When they just go tell me what the money is over there.
There was another one.
Morning, everyone.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Still working.
Yeah. Yes, it is. That's what he got with. I was eating, we're eating right here, like there's a little rail. We go on the other side of it, and he was walking by. And he saw me.
Thanks for it. He's upset about getting attention.
Well, evidently they take pictures for money. Morning. Morning. Like you're supposed to. Man, all this. Yeah.
Yeah, they're either.
So did y'all all hang out together the whole time?
No, me and so I actually accept. The other one, hey, different stuff.
Is yours coming?
Who knows? You know what she does? She gets in the middle.
Oh, no, it is good church. Everybody. There we go.
How are you?
Remind me your name again.
James.
James.
Johnson.
You're the cheeseburger guy, right? That's right. I'm Mike.
I don't know about the cheeseburger guy.
I got you. You don't want the veggie burger. Is that right? Yeah, I'm with you. You know, church like mine.
No, I was amazing.
Vegas?
I've been here like a month.
Well, I can grab it. You won't remember how to go.
Pizza or wings?
Or any of my kids.
You got
That's why I don't like.
I saw it. Spark.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. There's
All right. I think we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for being here. I feel like we're starting over after being gone for a couple of weeks. Of course, we've been gone 3 weeks. Brian and Abby talked 3 weeks ago, and he was talking about having people share their silliest fight, their first fight that they could remember. I really hate that I missed some of that. Anybody else want to add to that? I feel like I'm missing out on some
We
things.
learned that the class family had specific ways they use the garbage disposal.
Garbage disposal.
They did. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, silly fights like that, or how to load the dishwasher or unload the dishwasher, or those kind of things. Get more in? You won't come in late now.
Everybody else comes in there in the hot seat. Yeah, we should leave. That last person did.
You just got another relief.
Okay.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Well, we're going to spend several weeks, I think, on conflict. Conflict is inevitable in any relationship, especially in a marriage. And I think it's important for probably new couples to understand that that's normal. Some couples, I think, before they're married, they have this idea that everything is going to be great and they're not going to fight and they're always going to get along. And then there's this fight and you wonder, like, oh no, have I married the wrong person? Conflict is part of marriage. It's in every marriage. Even for loving couples, even for couples with great relationships, we still fight. So the issue is not that we fight. The issue is, like, how are we going to fight? And that's kind of where we're headed today, because there are different patterns and ways that people fight, and conflict patterns and things that you might deal with. And another thing I think we ought to understand about why we fight, for one reason, we're kind of selfish people, and we want what we want, and we've grown up differently, and all those kinds of things. But also, we fight because we have an enemy who wants to divide what God has joined together. We have an enemy who hates us and wants to destroy us and our marriage. And so we have to fight for our marriage. We're going to fight with each other, but more than anything, we need to be fighting for our marriage, fighting each other. So we're going to show about a 10-minute part of this video where Gabe and Rebecca Lyons, they describe 4 conflict patterns that they describe are compared to a dance, a dysfunctional dance. I didn't grow up dancing, you know. The church that I grew up with, we didn't go to any church dances. I don't know anything about dancing. That metaphor just lost me. But apparently, you know, there's an opportunity for you to step on each other's toes when you dance. And so we didn't have that. You didn't have that period. So, but I think it is a good metaphor about, you know, when things are right, it's great, but when one person's off or both people are off, there's the potential conflict. And so as we look at this, I want you to think about these 4 different ways that conflict patterns and see which one you might fit in. I'll tell you ahead of time, there's the silence. In silence, we retreat by refusing to communicate. Anger, we retreat by yelling or avoiding eye contact. Third one is avoidance. We retreat physically, try to stay distracted. The 4th one is anxiety, where we're just ruminating about, you know, the possibility of being alone. I think we talked a little bit about it. I think we're at the point now where we understand each other's triggers, and so we're doing better, I think. But probably silence or avoidance is probably where we go most of the time. Sometimes she can be really quiet. I know something's wrong. I'll ask her if something's wrong. She says, no, she's fine. She's not fine. Probably experienced that as well. So as we watch the video, I want you to think about what is maybe your default pattern for conflict.
Can he redeem not only your marriage,
Those of you
but the generation that follows you, that comes after you?
Now, while all married couples fight, we don't all fight in the same way. We don't always fight there. This leads to our next key point, which is that every couple has a dysfunctional dance. In every dance, there are 2 people playing specific roles. It's an incredible thing to watch 2 talented dancers. Maybe if you watch Dancing with the Stars, or the last time you took a child to see the Nutcracker, Joy loves that. It's just beautiful. It's elegant. But when the momentum is good, you know, we stay in step with each other. It's working. It's smooth, consistent, beautiful. But when we get out of sync, we step on each other's toes, and we eventually land on our rears.
Oh, yeah. Kind of like our karaoke dance parties in the living room.
Yes, right. It's not elegant.
Yeah,
It's not beautiful.
the opposite of elegant.
But in our marriage, we develop specific patterns, how we relate to each other. And the dysfunctional dance starts to take over. And the dance begins when we feel tense, or some distance, anxious, or alone. And you know you've entered your dysfunctional dance when something your partner says or does triggers a negative emotion you don't want to feel or acknowledge. And your reaction is so instinctive that you get caught up in an automatic response. This is that dysfunctional dance. Couples therapist Sue Johnson explains it really well. When she says, the more you attack, the more dangerous you appear to be. That's true. You attack.
Yeah.
That's still dangerous.
It's scary.
And the more I watch for your attack, the harder I hit back.
And that is also true.
Yeah, and so round and round, here we go.
Yeah, absolutely. Chances are your dysfunctional dance is so predictable at this point that you can almost see it coming. But because it's so ingrained, you can't stop it. You cannot seem to stop it. It's simply the air you breathe, the way you interact without giving it a second thought.
And in our work with couples over the years, Rebecca and I discovered that most marriages fall into one of 4 dysfunctional dances, 4 conflict patterns: silent, intense, avoidant, and anxious. Let's unpack them.
Okay. The first is the silent marriage. A silent marriage begins with hurt and unspoken resentment. Your emotional wounds fester and they lead you to withdrawal and stonewalling. You don't necessarily see this conflict externally. Your hearts are starting to grow cold and distant. And you might think, we never fight. We're good. No, there's something much bigger happening. Your silence hides bitterness. And this approach stems from a desire to de-escalate the conflict.
Yeah, so there's like a positive thing you're trying to do. You're motivated to keep it calm.
It feels noble. It feels like the right thing to let's not fight. But then all of a sudden we grow cold and silent and resistant. And you pursue a false sense of peace at all costs.
Yeah. And next there's the intense marriage, which is fueled by anger and passion. Both partners are vocal, stubborn, and impulsive.
We wouldn't know anything about this one.
We don't know a lot about this. Actually, we do. Because this is what we do.
Yeah.
And we enjoy the fight. And when we get into the fight, it gets intense. We want to win. And even though it's exhausting, this way of relating can reflect a deep care and commitment. There's the positive side. So
you're so passionate about it. You have to stay in it.
Yeah, in each of these dances, there's motivation for the relationship to be okay. But what we're helping you see, maybe there's some dysfunction. And these couples will escalate quickly, but they also reconcile just as fast, driven by their passion for each other. And sometimes that leads to great makeup sex.
Which you're not complaining about, are you? No. Okay. The third is the avoidant marriage, which is when one or both partners evade conflict by shutting down, changing the subject, leading to this emotional distance. And while this avoidance offers, again, a benefit of temporary relief, it erodes connection, and it leaves you feeling isolated and alone. If you want to restore communication and intimacy, you have to do a lot of self-evaluation and maybe even work with a third party.
Yeah. And last we have anxious marriage. The anxious marriage is driven by fear and insecurity, usually with one partner constantly seeking reassurance and the other one feeling a bit hurt by this need to soothe that anxiety. So anxiety can create these cycles of control, frustration. However, facing these fears together builds resilience, teaching both of you to understand and manage emotional triggers.
I'm curious, which pattern best describes your conflict style? Are you silent? Are you intense? Are you avoidant? Or are you anxious? Identifying your dysfunctional dance is the very first step to stopping it.
Yeah, and let's talk about that, Rebecca. How do we begin to do the work of undoing our conflict patterns, especially when they're unhealthy? But they're so deeply ingrained in us from so many years of practicing them. We step on each other's toes a lot. We're good at that.
We've gotten very good at this. The first thing we need to recognize is that peace begins when you take responsibility for your part. No more blame game, guys. You got to own it. And that has been so helpful. One of the enemy's strategies is to get you to build a case in your mind about why the other person is the problem. And when that happens, you don't focus on your own contribution to the conflict. No, it's always the other person, right? But newsflash, you can't change yourself. I don't know how many of you are still trying, but you've probably observed that over the years, it's not possible.
I know, I've tried to change you a lot.
I'm changing you.
28 years later.
Here we are.
Okay.
I know. We finally had to get, do I still love you even if you never change? I don't know. The only thing you can change in the dynamic is yourself. I love this other quote by Dr. Sue Johnson. The secret to stopping the dance is to recognize that no one has to be the bad guy. When we stop trying to be the one who is right and instead work to be right with each other, it shifts your focus from division to unity.
Yeah, that's right. And we've experienced that in our own healing journey in our marriage, that when you change yourself, you actually change the dance because you've changed one part. You've changed the equation. Now something new is possible. So you've got to get your eyes off your spouse and put them onto yourself. That's the key. You've got to own the dysfunctional patterns you've chosen and begin to do the work getting healthier. And if you stop overreacting, stop avoiding, stop leaving, stop lashing out, whatever it might be for you, then your relationship will immediately begin to change. But in order to do this, you've got to refuse to play the blame game. Guys, how many of you back when you were dating used this line? It's not you, it's me. I mean, this was like a classic breakup line to
I
just
know,
kind
you're
of
trying to
ease
let them
it.
down easy.
Yeah, that talk about avoidance. So we ease them with that line, it's not you, it's me. But it's really the worst. It didn't stop me from using it, but the goal was really to soften that blow. I wanted to make the news feel less hurtful because you like the person, but just didn't see a future going anywhere.
And you didn't want to do any further harm. And
I-
thankfully, I never
Yeah,
used
it's
the
like-
line on you. You
Right.
never had to endure that.
No.
But at the beginning of our marriage, I fell into the trap of believing I was the one who had it all together. If something was off in the relationship, it certainly wasn't my fault. While I might not have said it out loud, I thought in my head, it's not me, it's you.
Oh, I felt
And
you didn't have to say it.
Yeah, we're
I
back
knew you
to
were
the-
thinking that.
to the blame game. And so it was the reverse of that awful breakup line I used to use, and it kept me from owning up to what I was contributing to the dysfunctional dance.
Just like Adam and Eve pointed fingers at each other in the garden so long ago, it's easy to shift the blame to your spouse. But creating lasting change in a marriage requires us to stop blaming our spouse and start taking ownership. Fighting for our marriage requires focusing on the only person we can control, ourselves. The blame game ends when we finally have the courage to ask, what if the problem is me? The Apostle Paul makes it very clear in Romans 12 that peace and unity is God's plan for us. He says, be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves. Live in harmony with one another. And if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. I love that Paul puts the ownership back on us. As far as it depends on you, you've got to go first and take responsibility for your part. So, to recap everything we've been saying in this session, first of all, God calls husbands and wives to walk in unity. Make sure you write that down. Walk in unity. Unfortunately, because of man's disobedience and the enemy's schemes, the second point is the fight is normal in every single marriage. This shows up differently in each one, though, because the third reason, every couple has a dysfunctional dance. And finally, the fourth point is peace begins when you take responsibility for your part.
If you want to have a flourishing marriage, you have to deal with conflict head on. You must explore the areas of pain and disunity in your marriage, even though that gets uncomfortable. It's not as easy, maybe for one spouse. I know for me, this was challenging to explore. But you have to invite God into those places to help begin the healing. Although it might not feel this way in the moment, the fights you're having are an invitation to have an even bigger fight. The fight for each other, the fight for us. So no matter how bad or good things are, we want to invite you to do two things. Will you let go of the fights that drag you down so you can join the fight for everything that matters most to you, your marriage, your kids, and one day their kids? And will you have the humility to own your part and do the work necessary to build a thriving and unified marriage?
I want to leave you with one last thought. Throughout this journey of fighting for your marriage, remember that God is fighting for you. Scripture is full of this beautiful reality. In 2 Chronicles, we learn that you do not need to fight in this battle, so do not be afraid. Romans 8 tells us that if God is for us, who can be against us? Isaiah 43 promises that when you pass through the waters, I will be with you.
Yeah, marriage is God's idea, and He will be with you every step of the way. And Rebecca and I are here. We're cheering you on, and
Yes,
we're
we are.
believing big things for your marriage.
Yeah, seriously, you've got this. We're pumped. Let's do this.
Now that you've watched session 1, it's time to work through your study guide. We'll help you dig deeper.
All right, a lot of good content there. Let's talk about that some. What stood out to you? What did you notice? What did you resonate with? Several things for me. One of the things that I've learned is like trying to win there's no. If you try to win an argument, even if you win, you don't win. You know what I'm saying? So the goal should never be to win the argument. The goal should always be to understand the other person. Because even if you win an argument, sometimes you've done so much damage that you actually have hurt yourself doing that. And part of that winning the argument, or not winning the argument, for me is understanding how much I'm responsible for the argument. Like Tammy she's done a great job of trying to change me, and she's changed me in some good ways, I think. But in my core personality, she's not going to change me, and I'm not going to change her. And I know you have people in your life, in your family, that try to change you. Really, the only person you can control or change is yourself. Because that verse said, as much as it depends on me, I'm going to live in peace. So I want to be right with knowing that I've done all that I can. All right, so other thoughts or ideas that maybe stood out to you, that or anything else of dysfunctional dance, what's your conflict pattern?
Early on in marriage, this is how my parents did things. They were silent. So that's what I was. But what happened was I just festered, built up, and then once I exploded, and so we actually went to marriage counseling. And like he just taught me of how to get it out right then, so that way it doesn't just build, because it would just build and fester. And it was, but that's what I saw growing up. So that's just what I.
You think you're doing the right thing by being quiet and being silent, and you think it's going to go away in enough time, but the danger is bitterness, and then it just comes out, and then you overreact to something that was kind of small. You overreact, but you overreact because it wasn't just that one thing. So
I think it's so good to remember that conflict isn't bad, that's just normal. Like, we probably have made too much conflict. I probably in front of, I used to think like, oh, you should never fight in front of your kids. But like, sometimes things just come up, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why is that the way in front of, but I want my kids to get a lot of lectures. Yeah. But I also want them to see like, you can like deeply love each other and enjoy each other, and like, you don't like everything that each other does, or you're like, I don't like the way that, or, and then they can see like, oh, that's pretty normal. So that it's not like a major red flag just because you don't agree with everything thing that person.
Yeah, and that really fits to your point about like your kids. They're going to learn that conflict and how to argue or handle conflict by watching you, how you handle.
I wish Jonathan was in here. I thought he was speaking. Sorry, I saved the seat for no one. But I would be surprised. I would feel he would think what they said about, oh no, married person because he's more like, I'm just be quiet, and I'm like, I don't like there, you know, that's what I'm saying. And so definitely we have to come, because you don't always have to say something. Like, I don't always have to say, you know, to be silent, but also you do need to speak up if it really matters. So we definitely try to kind of come more to the middle of how we typically handle things.
And if you're a person whose conflict pattern is silence, and you're married to someone who's intense, Tammy's not intense, but you can take then, Tammy can say, she can just ask me a question sometimes, where she'll ask me a question trying to connect, and I'll take it as, it's critical. Like she's criticizing what I'm doing, I'm not doing the right thing or whatever. And she's not, doesn't mean that way, but you know, there's that potential for conflict there. But you've learned that too, about.
My default is silence, and I really like what he said about that can be, you know, whoever uses that tactic, their attempt to preserve peace. But usually, and if I'm being rigorously honest, I am trying to preserve my peace. I'm not trying to preserve our peace or her peace. Because I think that comes from I don't trust myself, because once I get past like being quiet and my mouth opens, like it's a distinction level man. And I'm terrified of that. So well, it's just better don't say.
Maybe one of the things we need to come back to is like how to fight. how to handle.
Every time I hear like all these same words, I just think about Frozen, like don't feel. Don't let it show. I'm like, well, that's helpful advice. That anxious avoidance me is that still don't feel, don't let it show. Just let it go.
Your lives are beautiful.
He doesn't.
No, that's good.
Frozen's been around long enough.
Yeah.
Heard the song.
Yeah.
And what happened? It wasn't good.
It's bad for everyone.
She froze a whole.
The whole region. We have our boys in our family.
What else stood out to you? What have you learned or still learning about conflict?
I think like not as much commentary. We think that other people don't fight, and it's like a shame to have conflict. But like I had a conversation with last night, sharing like how much conflict today, but different seasons of their marriage had, and like, oh. And so I think we're trying to hide our conflict, and everybody else is trying to hide theirs. Everything is something silly like the dishwasher, or like there's a lot of bigger things.
Yeah. There's always, I think in church, there's always been a little bit of kind of presenting yourself, having it all together. And I know we felt some of that pressure in ministry. Like, we've got to be the ones to have it all together. Can't fight, can't let our children see us fight or whatever. It's normal. And it actually can be healthy in terms of drawing you closer as you work through those things. But, yeah, I think you can be rest assured that every marriage has conflict.
When you think like when a baby's born, they cry out to you and they, go to them and they feel that discomfort, and then you go into them, which attempt to do all the things you think of. That's exactly what you're saying, like that makes that bond closer. And so it's like a rupture and repair cycle, and we all have it in a relationship. You have, in order to get a repair, you have to rupture, but the repair is where you can't get that repair if you don't have rupture. And so, like with our kids and everything, we're going to have fights, but it's more about what you do after the fight. I mean, yeah, you can obviously work on yourself, try not to say and get to extinction level, and even if you do after the fight, that usually makes the most impact. And so it's necessary.
And probably most of the strongest marriages are marriages that have gone through significant conflicts in life. Talk some about the
Okay, so the first of the 4 types was the silent marriage. So I'll just mention a little things about that, and then you say if this is you, and I'll figure out which one we are. The silent marriage is triggered by hurt, okay, and it's creating a distance that buffers the pain, but it hardens the heart. Okay, so when we are hurt, we choose to bottle it up, to not talk about it, stuff it down, rather than express it, and then that wound begins to fester. Anybody ever done that? Okay. The couple fights for control by giving their partner the silent treatment. Okay. So somebody that's done that, what are you thinking when you're like, okay, I'm going to give them the silent treatment or hurt? What are you hoping to accomplish?
I don't know what I'm to accomplish, but I'm creating marriage.
Okay.
Like why she does it, like yeah. You're telling yourself a story. Right. Yeah. Tell ourselves stories, and in these stories, we know the other person's motivation. We think the worst of they did this because of this, but it may have been something very.
Yeah, he tells me that all the time. He says, you're creating that story. You don't know what that is. And I'm like, oh, but I do. I've got it created here, but that's not necessarily it. But we do that. Glad to know someone else does that. Somebody else. What are you thinking or hoping to accomplish or trying to do? Or
I'm not really good with words, so a lot of times when I go silent, I'm just trying not to make it worse. Like, I'm just like, okay, I need to pray for the Spirit, pray for something to give me some wisdom and something to say.
Okay.
I'm going to get pastor. And sometimes I think it's fun. They'll figure this one out with boy. Let's see what you Let's see what you come up with.
She's giving me the silent treatment. I got to figure it out.
So then sometimes we like to come on their toes.
I don't know if I'm speaking for most men. Like, most men can't figure that out. You have to tell us, give us some hints. What's going on? What did I do?
Anybody else?
Like sometimes if you're silent, like you said, that usually comes from her. So if you're silent, you're trying to get them to see you and what you're needing or wanting. And the whole time in your head, you're creating that narrative of, you need to come to me because I'm the one that's hurt. So I think the silence fits into her.
Right. And I think for me, it's like, I want you to figure this out. If I tell you, then it's not as good. You know, I want you to figure it out so that you understand me. You know, it's like telling you what you want for a birthday present. I don't want to tell you. I want you to. You know?
Like sitting his toddler in the corner and like, okay, leave about what you did wrong.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But yeah, just wanting them to acknowledge your hurt. But you know, there probably could even be, it could go further, where it's like, I'm hurt, I'm going to be silent, I want you to hurt. That's when you start really getting into bitterness and contempt. I've known some couples, the way that they talk to each other, there's some serious contempt that they have. Comes out.
And she goes on to say that they seek to punish the other one by withdrawing or stonewalling. One partner turns off their heart and shuts down emotionally. The other gives up in resignation because it is what it is. The accumulated hurt and resentment make this couple bitter and treat each other harshly. I think that's what we want to avoid. None of these are wrong ways, and they're like, it's kind of like, I'm not wrong for doing this. We need to acknowledge it so that we don't go down the path where it gets really bad in relationships. So if you're like, oh, well, that's me, that's terrible. No, it's just the way that you handle this, but you need to see that and acknowledge it. It's kind of like the love language. There's not one that's right, it's wrong. You just need to know which one it is. Okay? It says the tension of unacknowledged, and unhurt, sometimes felt by others, but often ignored by those who bear. What once seemed like a noble decision to bury the past instead plants an invasive species called resentment that soon sprouts into weed. In silent marriage, resentment runs deep, torments, and ultimately becomes a marriage killer. So that's what we want to avoid. Not keep it going until it gets to that point.
And those couples, on the outside, look great. And you would look at them and think, man, they've got a great marriage. But not always what it seems to be.
And there's some good things with the silent. You know, you don't want to escalate. Okay? You know, you don't want, you're trying to be kind. You know, maybe you don't want to say something that's, and maybe there's some self-discipline there of not letting out what's going to come out. You know, so, and it can be a gesture of peace. You know, in that. So there's good in it. And again, these are not like, oh, if you're this, you're terrible. Okay? The second one is the intense marriage. Intense marriage is triggered by anger. Both partners are vocal and passionate. Both think they know what's best. They're equally competent and independent. They both believe they're right. They have the energy to fight, and they even enjoy to fight because one or both like to win. Both partners are a bit impulsive, know how to get under each other's skin. They tend to escalate and de-escalate. All right, who's that? Anybody?
There were a lot of people
Hold on
crossing.
a I don't know if you both always.
No,
I don't think you have the same.
I'm just.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Come on.
I'll stop talking if you say
I got nothing to say. I'm avoiding it. A little bit anxious.
Yeah. Yeah. Big challenges.
Right.
Yeah, because I appreciate it being intense, because I'm exactly. If she was silent, there would never be. Like, we would never.
But you never said.
That, I mean, I appreciate that. I know exactly what it is.
Yes.
It's here. Everybody's like,
Class being strong.
the class is just.
I would say, I feel like, they, like, are intense. I like I can stuff. So, John, compare me and John, 100 more than he is. But I'm not like constantly. Like, I don't. It's different. I feel like that one. But. And I have said to him before, like, if I'm not this way, then there's two things I'm saying. That's how I feel about myself.
Yeah.
If I'm not bringing up stuff, trying to do things, like, I'll not call you out, but like, you say that, maybe that means I care about the relationship.
Yeah. And that's dangerous.
Yeah.
And
You
again, I
stop, you
think
stop
that,
fighting.
Right.
and again, I think that's why it's important to know. You know, it's different. It's important to know that because he knows that this is something to look out for. You know, you don't have to be the same, and you're not always going to do it the same way. You know, sometimes it can be intense. Okay. Anybody else with intense?
I was still say, like, I think it is very, to constantly communicate. I don't know if she knows this, but a mutual friend of ours just got a deer, it's like done, and she doesn't know what happened. You know, so like, you don't tell all along and communicate, then that's one's just going to be done.
Your point is faster than the voice.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see. Does she feel that way?
Yes, you. Feel that way, or whenever I'm caring about something and you're sitting there, it feels to me like you know, like you're just sitting there like at least I care enough to be mad, and you're just.
I don't do that all the
But yeah, it feels, whenever you're passionate about it,
Yeah.
you know, they're not.
Tammy's not that way, but if Tammy was intense, and I would be like, I would withdraw. I tell stories about you like that though.
This is not about us.
Yeah.
It's changed me, and I'm working on it more, but like the sweet and I'm waiting. Oh, yeah, you are right. Never comes. And then you're just
lecturing, laying out. Just a lot of the things in my life that had like positively reinforced some of my tendencies. I realized like, oh, it's just because you're their boss at work. Like those people are just like, yeah, I get it, because they have to. And now I'm in an equal partnership, and they don't have to do that. So I do a lot of that.
Right, and then to end the intense marriage can be exhausting, but the intensity itself can also be a strength. It may sound odd, but you have the energy to fight, you have the energy to keep going in marriage. And it's a good thing about this style of fighting is both partners care, so that's a good, there is a positive to that. Okay, the avoidant marriage. Stop there. Now we have something.
We do have some questions that we'll present this week. Hopefully for you to have some conversations together about this.
And talk about which one of these, talk to your partner and say, who do you think I am, or which one are you, and that kind of thing. Talk about this before next week.
And again, there's a book and a workbook you can buy online. That might be at the Christian bookstore here in town, but it's good stuff. Good stuff. So thank y'all for being here.
Yeah, and I hope y'all come back next week.
Come back with some stories of your fights. Homework is to
My husband is
read about it.
I just like to go opportunity and lock the door. That's what I'm really like.
Somebody would say, no, we all very different.
I've been looking at no, it's on the slide.
How are you? Good.
Well,
you didn't want to take one.
y'all diagnosed each other.
Those aren't cheapy.
No. She's the one I would mind.
Well, I'm going to buy a different kind.
I would be like a regular Suburban. We may all be squeezed in there, but like I'm getting out of this whole 12-passenger thing.
Yeah, it's just kind of rare.
Come on, man.
And he would be on this guy. He'd get out of the car
Yeah. Yeah, he probably won't talk to you. Like,
I got a man I put a witch out there to get stuff going.
this one like
Who's going to be Daniel? Just that's where he's at. Oh. Like she was so happy.